In most septic systems, gravity pulls the waste into the soil where microbes treat and process it. But in saturated soil, everything overflows into surrounding areas.
With both sea level rise and increase in precipitation, what we see is that the groundwater table is rising. And so you might not have the level of treatment from the sediment that you had when the system was installed.
On a waterfront property in low-lying Gloucester County, Robert Hutchins is installing a high-tech septic tank for a resident.
We're upgrading an existing system that has failed here and was constructed in the 1960s.
The new system treats waste with coconut husks, can better withstand flooding, and can cost as much as $50,000. Hutchins knows that's out of reach for most.
The ones that can afford it obviously will, but those that can't, they're going to get their medicine they're going to eat before they fix their wastewater system.
This is a huge equity issue, primarily affecting marginalized groups. Historians say after the Civil War, many freed slaves could only acquire property that flooded easily. Catherine Coleman Flowers is a national sanitation activist who serves on an advisory council for President Biden.
The people that are seeing the problems first and foremost were those that are victims of structural racism or were mandated by racial covenants in terms of where they could settle.
Today, unaddressed septic issues can mean fines, criminal prosecution, or eviction, so many people don't come forward for help. But officials say it's rare in Virginia to bring people to court over this. There are grants and loans for homeowners for routine septic service. A new law in Virginia set up a statewide fund for repairs and replacements. State officials will also start considering the impacts of sea level rise when issuing permits for new septic tanks. They say it'll be a game changer. Flowers is skeptical.
Because I've been doing this for over 20 years, and everybody has the next best thing, and it hasn't worked, and they're right back where they started. The engineers and all the other officials that charge fees make money and they move on, and the homeowners are left holding the bag.
Skip Stiles directs Wetlands Watch, an environmental nonprofit. He's not sure it's worth investing in new septic systems.
If you're along the shoreline and your septic system is flooding from underneath, it's sort of like a canary in the coal mine for the fact that within a decade or two, your house is going to flood. And it will be so compromised that we may not want to continue to support people living there.
That's going to be the hardest problem, he says. By mid-century, many of the lowest lying areas could be underwater. For NPR News, I'm Zach Hirsch.
It's the cleanest train I ever seen. Ain't hardly no Garth.
Things considered from
Sorry,
NPR
folks.
News. Over the last 10 days, the most nerve-wracking activity for NASA has been the unfolding of the James Webb Space Telescope. The telescope had to be folded up origami style to fit on the rocket that launched it into space. Once operational,
look at
the
all them
telescope
clean
will
rails
provide
on there, though.
unprecedented views of the universe. There's more to
there
do,
goes some
but
Garth.
today, mission managers successfully
There it is.
completed the most complicated part of the unfolding process. To bring us up to date is NPR science correspondent Joe Palca. And Joe, what exactly did... Hey, how are you? Tell us what mission managers had to do today that made it so complicated.
Well, today was the sun shield, and in order to make the measurements it was designed for, the detectors on the Space Telescope, JWST as people call it, have to be cooled to about 400 degrees below zero Fahrenheit. To do that, it needs to protect it from the sun, and hence the sun shield. The sun shield itself is made up of 5 separate thin membranes that are designed to sit one above the other, and the whole thing is huge. I mean, the size of a tennis court, and it had to be folded up into 2 small boxes and then unfurled, and each layer had to be tensioned so it would lie flat. Well, the tensioning involved hundreds of cables, pulleys, motors, and the like, so it was a complex and